Hello everybody, what I'd like to show you today is a really simple Christmas card. Anybody can do this, it's very simple. We're going to use our 100% cotton rag paper, which we've got in the background, excuse me. To get to this stage here, I've actually done that in a step-by-step tutorial, a written tutorial, so you can refer back to that and you can see how we get to this stage. The writing is actually underneath. So basically what we've prepared is the writing onto the card, and then we've covered it over, and it'll show you in the step-by-step why we've put this border here. I've drawn it on with a pen. We've used this pen here that we sell in one of our kits, and what I'm going to do as I'm going to use various different greens. We've got a red and a brown, and we've got a dark brown. I'm just going to use any brush that you've got hold of. With watercolours, you always have to give them a spray first to get them going. Those were done a minute ago, so they should be just about ready to use. And we're going to go in with a medium green. Because this paper takes a lot of paint, you need to get it quite wet. And then all you're going to do with this is you're going to go over the lines that we've created, and you're just going to put some greenery in there. Doesn't necessarily have to follow the lines that we've got on there. We're just going to put some green in, and then we're going to do the same on the bottom. So you're just going to fill over your lines. As you can see, we're not too bothered at this stage that everything goes on top of the lines. So we've got our first green in there. Next we're going to go to a yellowy green, which is the one I've got here. Obviously you can use any colour that you want to. And we're going to start to fill in the holly leaf shapes. Now, don't try to be too precise with these. Don't try to get them all inside the lines. It looks much nicer if it actually pops outside here and there. So I'll change up the colour now and again. If you think you've got too much on, paper towel, blot it off. That's one of the beauties of this paper. And then you can put it back in again. So I'm going to take a slightly different green. I'm going to go into this one. Don't bother about paint going over the top of other paint. It'll all add to the final result. So we're just going to fill these in. Right, can you see what I did there? Put a big red mark in there. So beauty of the paper towel and this paper, just took it straight out, and you put your different colour in. Just proves it's live, and I've only got one go at this. If you don't like it, as I say, you can dab it and you can take it off. So I'm going to add a bit of extra yellow back into that because it's a bit muddy now. That's better. And we're going to put it in like that. There's usually a way to fix things. Don't always think you have to start again. There's usually a way to put things right. Now because I've got this darker colour here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken that one up there to match it. Put a bit of that colour in there. So everything will eventually match together. You've got greens and yellows, so everything will go together. And a final one in there, like so. I keep going into that red, don't I? I'm going to take that one there. That's it. So you see how easy it is to fix mistakes. You don't stress about it, you just take it out with your paper towel and put it back in. What I'm also going to do at this stage is I'm just going to take a little bit of a darker green, and I'm just going to put a few bits towards the corners of these, just in the points. Like that. Now if you think it's drying too much, go back into your first colour, add a little bit of that colour into there, and then go back and start putting the dark in. Just gives a little highlight in that corner. Like so, just into there, that's fine. We're going to allow that to dry for a little bit, and then we're going to go back and put veins and things into the holly. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come into a slightly darker green. And these are pine leaves, pine needles, so we're going to start to put in really quickly shape of the needle. Don't worry if you go over the top of your holly leaves, that doesn't matter. But you do have to try and get fine lines rather than thick lines. So as soon as you see your paint start to go like this, you need to add more paint to it. So we're just going to fill those in. Various different greens, try and get a few different ones going through it. Like so. You see already it's starting to build up a lovely texture. Going to a slightly different one down here. If your paints start to dry, depending on your room temperature, just get your water sprayer, give it a quick squirt and bring it all back to life again. You can use any watercolours for this. You can even use your marker, watercolour markers. Use anything to do this little design. This paper just holds the paint really, really nicely. And with it being rag paper, it soaks in a lot of colour. So the colours you get are really, really bright and clear. And put a few colours in here. It's starting to look okay now. Now, let this dry for a few minutes. I'm just going to show you this one here. So one we've got here is painted. It's painted exactly in the same method, but I haven't got the black lines on it. And this to me is a little bit flat, a little bit dull. I like sharp lines. By adding the black, this is the difference. You get the very defined outlines. On this one, I just drew Merry Christmas or Choose Joy, whatever sentiment you want to put in there. You can print it on, you can cut it out and stick it on, stamp it on, anything you want to do to get this into here. But I do think that having these pen lines just makes it that much nicer, which is why I usually go back to pen lines. And again, if you've seen any of my work, you'll see that these pens feature a lot in my work. They always have done from being back at school. I've always used the black pen method. So now this is dried just a little bit, what we can do is we can come back in with a slightly darker colour, and this time I'm just going to wipe a little bit off, and then I'm just going to go down the centre of the holly leaf like so. Okay. What we need to do now is add a bit of light into it, because it's quite nice greens, but it's a little bit dark. So we're going to go into our yellow, and I'm just going to add that to that green there, darken it down just a little bit. So what we need to do into this background is we need to add some light areas. Now what we can do with this later is we can go over this with the pen, but at this stage we don't need to. And I wanted to just assess what I needed first, but I definitely need some light areas going through there. Put that through there. I always try to work in odd numbers. As you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holly leaves. 7 is always better than 6, so you try to go with odd numbers rather than even numbers, and you'll find that my background was in floristry originally. Always odd numbers that we're going to go for. So I'm just going to put a few bits of lighter colour towards the bottom, into there, bit into there. And you see how nice it is when the colours overlap. You don't have to keep them all separate. It's all greens, different shades, beautiful shades of green. So we've got to this stage. What we're going to do now is going to wash the brush. Where I've got this dark line here, so I've got one here, I've got another dark line here, and I've got another one here. These are going to be the branches for the holly, so we need to go into sort of a chocolatey brown colour. These are going to have to be quite fine, so again we take off some paint on the tissue, and then you're just going to gently put in some brown lines. A bit more paint. And this is where our holly berries are going to sit. So I'm going to put that into there. I want to have one in there. Even this, if you don't like it, use your tissue, you can take it off. It doesn't stain, which is one of my favourite things about this paper. I've tried lots and lots of different watercolour papers and I still come back to this one. So we're going to put in some brown lines. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I put one in here, that gives me 6, which means I need to put another one in. So we'll have the 7th one in there. I've just missed a leaf here, so I'm just going to go back to a mid-green. And I'm just going to fill in that leaf there. So you can fiddle with it as much as you like, you can come back to it backwards and forwards until you get it how you want it. We're almost ready to put the holly berries on. So we're going to take a really bright red, and it needs to be quite a thick red. I'm just pulling a little bit of that brown in to get that nice holly berry colour. So get your brush nice and full, so your brush is really nice and full, and we're going to just start by putting, oh, I've got a loose, what's it there? What's the word I'm looking for? Hair, that's the one. I'm going to put some holly berries in there, a bit more paint. So we're going to put them, first of all we're going to put them onto the branches, and then we're going to add a few more here and there, wherever you want them. Oh, I found a branch there, look. You can do these in metallic colour as well. I've got a really nice metallic red here that I might just use for a few highlights. See how we get on. This card is simple. You can teach your children how to do this one. It's just a lovely, fast and easy card. But it's very, very effective. Everybody likes a hand-painted card. People who send me cards always know that if it's not nice, it doesn't go up. So really mean. But I do have a collection of cards going back for years and years. So my very, very nice, lovely ones that people have sent me over the years, they go up every year. So I'm going to put that in like that. And then we're just going to get that just a little bit wetter. And then we're just going to put some random berries down into the holly leaves. Now remember, this is going over a piece of washi tape, so when we take the washi tape off we'll have a nice straight line underneath. If your paint goes underneath the washi tape, please don't worry, it's not the end of the world. We can do something about it. We can either add it over the top or we can draw more lines in with a pen, but it's not the end of the world if it does that. So we've got a nice amount of berries on. I think those there are a bit bright, so I'm going to take those 3 out, and I'm just going to paint them in a little bit smaller. So we've got some mid colours in there, and a little bit brighter, just so I get it the shade I want it. Okay, likewise I'm going to do the same with that set, and I put it in again. And through to there. We're nearly finished. This is the metallic red that I've got. To get these colours back to life, what you really must do is put the water on them a good 5 or 6 minutes before you want to use it. Otherwise you'll just get a watery metallic. We need a really nice bright metallic. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this metallic on the edge of some of these. Just have some separation lines. A little bit of water there. Just dot that off. You see how easy it was to get rid of that bit of water there? I use this paper for all of my exhibition work, card making. I use it for absolutely everything. A little bit in there. So I've got some nice metallics. I think that's about it for that. So I'm going to wash my brush. Remember not to leave your brush in the water. Cardinal sin. I used to charge my students 50p every time I caught them doing that. And we had nice cakes at the end of the term. So we're going to take this bit off here. I'm going to take this bit off here. Put that there. I'm going to take this off. Now when you take this off, take this bit off carefully, because we want to try and make sure we don't let this paint get underneath. So you're going to lift it gently, pull over and pull off. So now we can finish the little fiddly bits. You can see we've got some fiddly bits here that we haven't got to yet. So we're going to go into there. You're just going to gently go in with your green, whichever green you fancy. Go into there, into that little bit, into there, down, into there, and finally, remember we did the yellow ones. What we're going to do now is just finish those off by putting some fine lines into there. You can go back in and put gold highlights onto these berries if you want to, but I just like them quite plain. So we're going to go into there, finish those, and I think I'm just going to add a little bit of green. Sometimes if you just stand back for a second you see the little bits. So I'm just going to add a little bit of green into there, and a little bit of green into there. Likewise with that one, and that one, into there, and that's it, we're finished. Nice and easy. Two different ways you can do it. You can do it long ways, you can do it this way. Different wording you can put onto there. Print it, stamp it. I do think putting the wording on first is better. Because if you've done a nice picture and you make a mess of the words, there's no going back, whereas it's a lot easier to do it this way around. Have fun, it's really easy.